What if I told you that the absolute darkest secret in Hollywood didn't get buried by federal prosecutors, but was just bought out by a multi-million-dollar wire transfer on the dark web, and the undisputed king of petty Future is the one holding the ultimate digital receipt? Are we honestly supposed to sit here and pretend that the absolute panic currently paralyzing the Harvey household is just a coincidence? Or is the internet finally waking up to the most dangerous blackmail war entertainment history has ever seen? The streets are officially on fire because word on the darknet is that a highly explicit, deeply compromising 2019 tape featuring Lori Harvey and Sean Diddy Combs was actively being shopped to the highest bidder. And someone very close to the situation just paid an astronomical fortune to completely incinerate the footage before it destroyed a multi-million-dollar family empire. We've all been tracking the absolute chaos of Diddy's legal collapse, but nobody was prepared for the secret vaults to breach, spilling radioactive celebrity collateral directly into the hands of ruthless digital brokers. You've seen the graphic leaks, you've heard the frantic industry denials, but when Future allegedly starts running his mouth to his inner circle about exactly who cut the check to buy Lori's silence, the entire Hollywood matrix completely shatters. Why is Future the one dropping these terrifying breadcrumbs? And how far did Steve and Marjorie Harvey actually go to bury their daughter's wild past? Buckle up, because we are diving straight into a toxic web of high society trafficking, dark web auctions, and a frantic family cleanup campaign that proves the cameras were always rolling. And the truth is way more sinister than anyone ever imagined. Are we honestly supposed to sit here and believe that a pristine, highly curated IT girl image just falls out of the sky and stays completely spotless by accident? Or are we finally ready to admit that the Hollywood elite will spend generational wealth just to keep their darkest skeletons locked inside a federal vault? The entire entertainment industry is currently sitting on a massive, highly explosive powder keg, because the digital floodgates of Sean Diddy Combs' infamous storage networks have officially burst open, and the radioactive fallout is landing straight on the doorstep of the Harvey family. For years, the internet has whispered about what really went down during Lori Harvey's highly publicized, deeply confusing 2019 romance with Diddy, but those whispers just turned into an absolute screaming match on the dark web. We aren't just talking about regular celebrity gossip anymore. We are talking about a full-blown multi-million-dollar black market bidding war over a highly explicit, deeply compromising video that was allegedly taken during the height of Diddy's wild lifestyle era. The ultimate plot twist in this entire corporate nightmare is that the man who just blew the lid off the entire operation is none other than the undisputed king of petty himself, Future, who has reportedly been telling his inner circle that he knows exactly who broke the bank to buy that footage. To really understand the absolute state of panic paralyzing Hollywood right now, you have to look at the sheer scale of Diddy's legal annihilation, and how it has completely compromised every single person who ever stepped foot onto his luxury yachts. When the federal authorities conducted their high-profile raids, they didn't just seize physical assets. They uncovered a deeply sinister, meticulously organized digital surveillance network where cameras were rolling in every single room of his mansions. The public is already losing its mind over verified darknet leaks, including that highly graphic 54-second clip featuring Daphne Joy and adult film star Sly Diggler, which completely shattered the lazy industry defense that these videos were just artificial intelligence or deepfakes. Once the physical evidence became undeniable, specifically that highly distinct horse tattoo visible on Diddy's right shoulder, every high-profile celebrity who participated in those legendary white nail polish parties realized that their entire career was hanging by a single digital thread. Lori Harvey was right there in the dead center of that toxic matrix back in 2019, traveling to Italy, Mexico, and New York with a man who treated leverage like a form of literal currency, meaning that the existence of a Lori tape wasn't a matter of if but a matter of when. This is exactly where the narrative takes an incredibly messy, deeply personal turn, because if there is one person in the music industry who knows how to weaponize a timeline, it is Future. We already established that Uncle Pluto does not forget, does not forgive, and absolutely refuses to let his ex-girlfriends live in peace once his own ego has been publicly bruised on the Billboard charts. Nobody will ever forget the sheer, unadulterated disrespect of his legendary guest verse on that 42 Doug track where he explicitly told the world he didn't want Steve Harvey's child and claimed she begged him on her knees not to leave. So when rogue digital brokers and high-level dark web hackers started shopping a highly sensitive 2019 video of Lori and Diddy to the highest bidder, Future's camp was reportedly the very first to track the digital currency movement. The word on the street is that Future didn't just stumble onto this information. He actively watched the entire subterranean marketplace operate because he wanted to see exactly how much money it would take for the Harvey family to save themselves from total public execution. The investigative findings leaking out of these private server rooms suggest that this wasn't a clean, quiet corporate transaction handled by a standard Hollywood public relations firm. We are talking about a ruthless, high-stakes digital auction where anonymous brokers were demanding astronomical numbers, forcing interested parties to navigate complicated cryptocurrency channels just to get a glimpse of the verification files. For weeks, top-tier crisis management teams and major media conglomerations like TMZ were allegedly circling the property, looking to acquire the footage for their own institutional leverage or long-term blackmail defense funds. But the revelation that Future has allegedly been dropping behind closed doors is that a high-end crisis team didn't win the bidding war, and neither did a predatory news network looking for a historic ratings spike. Instead, the whispers point directly to a massive, desperate, and incredibly frantic financial play made directly by Steve and Marjorie Harvey, who allegedly realized that if this specific footage hit the mainstream internet, their entire multi-million-dollar family brand would be permanently reduced to absolute ash. You have to look at the complete absurdity of the timeline to see how beautifully this all connects, because the moment these dark web brokers started applying pressure in the shadows, Steve Harvey suddenly embarked on a massive, highly aggressive media cleanup campaign. Suddenly, the legendary comedian and daytime television host was doing heavy interviews across multiple platforms, loudly preaching to the public about how he strictly vets his daughter's suitors and swiftly shows anyone who doesn't meet his high moral standards the front door. On the surface, the mainstream audience thought it was just a protective, old-school father expressing normal family values in the wake of the shocking Diddy indictments. But if you look at it through a real investigative lens, it becomes blindingly obvious that this entire public relations tour was a calculated, high-level smokescreen designed to distract the public while his financial team was privately bleeding out millions of dollars to secure a physical hard drive. The Harveys had to maintain a flawless public image of complete moral superiority and strict family boundaries, all while dealing with the terrifying reality that their daughter had been deeply embedded in a world where compliance was mandatory and surveillance was a guarantee. What makes this entire situation so incredibly dark is the lingering allegation that this specific tape had already been used as a silent psychological weapon long before the federal government ever got involved. There have been consistent, highly disturbing rumors making the rounds that Diddy actually weaponized a copy of this Lori footage years ago by sending it directly to Michael B. Jordan during the height of his relationship with Lori. The narrative states that Diddy wanted to completely silence Jordan because the actor possessed highly intimate, first-hand knowledge regarding Cassie Ventura's early legal build-up and her long-standing struggles behind the scenes. If Diddy was already using these graphic tapes as literal tools of intimidation to protect his empire back then, it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that this material was never intended for private viewing. It was manufactured from the very beginning to serve as the ultimate industry insurance policy. Future's decision to allegedly run his mouth about who finally broke down and paid for the tape has completely stripped away the glossy, bulletproof exterior of the Harvey family legacy, exposing the terrifying vulnerability that comes with running in those elite circles. The sheer desperation required to pull off a dark web buyout of this magnitude cannot be overstated, because dealing with anonymous digital extortionists is like trying to bargain with a ghost in a burning room. The Harvey family was allegedly forced to realize that standard legal cease and desist letters hold absolutely zero weight on the darknet, where servers are completely encrypted and sellers operate with total impunity. This meant they couldn't rely on their high-priced Hollywood attorneys to threaten lawsuits or file emergency injunctions in a federal court. They had to play by the lawless rules of the underground market and show up with actual, undeniable liquid cash. The whispers circulating through the upper echelons of the entertainment business suggest that the final price tag for this single piece of footage was enough to stagger a small corporate bank, forcing the family to liquidate massive assets under the table just to ensure that the file was permanently deleted from the primary source. But as anyone who understands the treacherous nature of digital data will tell you, buying out a black market broker does not mean you have erased the threat. It just means you have paid for a temporary moment of absolute silence. This entire corporate panic has completely transformed the way people view the internal dynamics of the Harvey household, especially considering the older allegations that Steve and Marjorie were perfectly fine with Lori's high-profile dating rotation, as long as it kept their family name relevant in the highest circles of wealth. The sudden, desperate scramble to buy up this specific tape suggests that the boundaries were completely crossed, moving away from standard high society networking and straight into the territory of career-ending criminal collateral. The public is left looking at a massive double standard where a family preaches strict traditional values on daytime television, while allegedly funding a massive subterranean rescue operation in the shadows of the internet, just to keep their daughter from becoming the face of the biggest entertainment scandal of the century. Future's alleged involvement as the ultimate whistleblower in this scenario adds a layer of absolute psychological warfare to the mix, because it proves that even if the physical tape has been successfully bought and buried, the knowledge of its existence is still actively being circulated by individuals who have absolutely nothing to lose and a massive craving for ultimate social revenge. The terrifying reality of this subterranean marketplace is that once a broker realizes they have the ultimate leverage over a high society family, the digital extortion demands do not just stop at a single payment. The absolute panic radiating from the Harvey compound isn't just about the money that has allegedly already left their accounts. It's about the haunting realization that the dark web doesn't operate with receipt books or signed non-disclosure agreements. We are talking about a lawless digital frontier where anonymous hackers can duplicate a file 1,000 times over before they ever initiate contact with the target's crisis team. If the whispers from Future's inner circle are accurate, the initial wire transfer made by Steve and Marjorie Harvey was merely a temporary band-aid on a massive, infected wound that threatens to poison their entire multi-million-dollar corporate brand. The streets are asking the ultimate question right now. If someone already paid a premium price to bury Lori's 2019 footage, how do they know the brokers didn't keep a master copy locked away in a secondary server room to pull out the moment they need another massive influx of cryptocurrency? To dissect the sheer magnitude of this scandal, you have to look into the chilling investigative findings leaking directly from high-level cybersecurity firms that have been quietly hired to track these rogue data vaults. Anonymous digital investigators are reporting that the files pulled from Diddy's private, encrypted servers were organized with a level of corporate precision that feels more like an international intelligence operation than a music mogul's private life. Every single video was reportedly cataloged with dates, location markers, and lists of high-profile attendees, turning a decade's worth of elite gatherings into a systematic archive of compromise. When hackers breached these specific databases, they didn't just grab random files. They targeted the most brand-damaging, high-value celebrity footage available to ensure maximum profitability on the black market. The alleged video featuring Lori Harvey from that wild summer of 2019 was flagged as a diamond-tier asset by these darknet syndicates because her current reputation is built entirely on being an untouchable, high-fashion, pristine influencer who only deals with the absolute highest tier of Hollywood elite. The public reaction to these brewing dark web auctions has already shifted from standard internet skepticism to a state of absolute, widespread hysteria across every social media platform. Comment sections are being absolutely flooded with deep dives, timeline comparisons, and breakdowns of Lori's past public appearances, with internet detectives looking for any subtle sign of panic in her recent high-fashion campaigns. The narrative shifted from a wild conspiracy theory to a highly plausible industry crisis, the exact moment legal representatives like Ariel Mitchell-Kidd openly confirmed to major news networks that individuals were actively shopping graphic Hollywood footage behind closed doors. When a mainstream attorney puts her professional reputation on the line to state that she was personally approached to broker a deal for a tape involving an individual even more high-profile than Diddy, the entire celebrity matrix loses its collective mind. It provides immediate, undeniable validation to the rumors that these tapes are not just urban legends whispered about in VIP sections. They are physical, digital commodities being traded like oil futures in the darkest corners of the internet. The level of lavish spending and corruption required to keep these files from leaking into the mainstream internet highlights a terrifying abuse of power that goes on behind the glossy veneer of the entertainment industry. While everyday people are struggling to pay their monthly bills, the Hollywood elite are allegedly moving massive fortunes through anonymous shell companies and offshore accounts just to buy back their own dignity from dark web syndicates. Exaggerated details from leaked financial reports suggest that the desperation within the Harvey camp forced them to look into desperate liquidity options, bypassing traditional banking scrutiny to ensure the transactions remained completely untraceable by mainstream media watchdogs. The sheer hypocrisy of the situation is what has the internet completely enraged, because we are watching a system where the wealthy can allegedly commit millions of dollars to erase their digital footprints, while lesser-known victims are left to deal with the absolute destruction of their lives without a single corporate safety net. To make matters even more chaotic, imaginary quotes from alleged industry insiders are painting a picture of absolute chaos behind the closed doors of major television networks. Production assistants and studio executives are whispering that the atmosphere on the set of Steve Harvey's daytime broadcasts has become incredibly tense, with strict new non-disclosure agreements being pushed onto the staff to prevent any internal leaks regarding the family's private distress. The public backlash is mounting by the hour as viewers begin to dissect the massive disconnect between the righteous, traditional family advice Steve dishes out on a daily basis and the frantic, subterranean damage control operation his family is allegedly running in the dark. People are starting to demand absolute transparency, asking how a public figure can maintain a massive platform of moral authority, while his inner circle is actively fighting off black market extortion attempts linked to the biggest federal racketeering case in music history. The narrative surrounding Lori's alleged rental contracts and high society yachting lifestyle has taken on an entirely new, incredibly sinister meaning in light of these dark web transactions. For years, blind items across the internet have casually alleged that elite influencers don't just date high-profile men for romance, but operate under highly structured, multi-million-dollar corporate companionship agreements designed to boost the status of both parties. If these rumors hold any weight, then a tape like the one currently causing panic in Hollywood represents an absolute breach of contract that could completely devalue Lori's brand in the eyes of future high-end suitors. A tape of this nature doesn't just damage her personal life, it completely annihilates her professional viability as a luxury brand ambassador, making it an absolute corporate necessity for her family to outbid every single predatory entity on the dark net. The streets are whispering that the bidding war wasn't just against media outlets like TMZ, but against wealthy, powerful exes who may have been looking to use the footage as ultimate, cold-blooded revenge for being publicly discarded on the celebrity dating carousel. What makes this entire situation completely unprecedented is how Future continues to act as the ultimate, unbothered puppet master from the sidelines, dropping just enough subtle hints to keep the internet completely hyper-focused on the Harvey family's financial panic. Future isn't just a rapper. He is a cultural institution who understands exactly how to manipulate public perception without ever having to file a single legal document or make an official statement. By allegedly letting it slip to his associates that he knows the exact digital footprint of the wire transfer that bought the tape, he has effectively trapped the Harveys in a psychological cage where they know their absolute biggest secret is one single social media post away from being entirely exposed. It is a level of pettiness that borders on absolute psychological warfare, proving that when you cross certain individuals in the music industry, the expiration date on their revenge simply does not exist. As the digital clock ticks down, the panic is starting to spread far beyond the Harvey family, infecting every single high-profile individual who ever shared a VIP section, a private jet, or a luxury yacht with Sean Diddy Combs during his decades of absolute dominance. The dark web brokers have allegedly realized that they are sitting on a gold mine that can be mined indefinitely, prompting them to look through their archives for even more celebrity collateral to put up for auction. The entertainment industry is looking at a massive structural crisis where the traditional methods of public relations damage control, like carefully written apology notes or highly produced sit-down interviews, are completely useless against raw, unedited, digital evidence. The entire world is watching this high-stakes chess match unfold in real time, waiting to see if the millions of dollars allegedly paid by the Harvey family will actually buy them a permanent escape from the fallout, or if the digital floodgates are going to completely collapse anyway, dragging the entire Hollywood elite down into the absolute abyss. The threat of federal intervention and unprecedented public disgrace has officially pushed this subterranean drama past the point of no return, forcing the entire industry to prepare for a level of institutional devastation that no amount of money can truly fix. While Steve and Marjorie Harvey continue to keep up appearances on mainstream television networks, the legal sharks are already circling the perimeter of this multi-million-dollar damage control operation. Legal experts and investigative watchdogs are openly whispering that if the paper trail or cryptocurrency blockchain data connecting the Harveys to these dark web brokers is ever officially verified, it could trigger a massive, high-level federal probe into corporate extortion and structural corruption. The feds aren't just looking at Diddy anymore. They are tracking the flow of illicit money moving through Hollywood, meaning that anyone caught cutting massive checks under the table to buy the silence of darknet syndicates could easily find themselves facing serious obstruction of justice charges. We are looking at a terrifying reality where a desperate family rescue mission could accidentally turn into a literal federal indictment, transforming a messy celebrity scandal into an absolute corporate disaster. The public backlash is already mounting to a level that threatens to force sudden, highly embarrassing corporate resignations across multiple entertainment networks. Major advertising brands and network executives are reportedly holding tense, closed-door meetings to discuss whether Steve Harvey's massive daytime syndication contracts can survive the radioactive fallout of these dark web allegations. In the world of high-stakes television, corporate sponsors do not care about family loyalty. They care about brand safety, and being linked to a subterranean blackmail war involving Sean Diddy Combs is the absolute definition of a corporate nightmare. If the pressure continues to build at this frantic pace, we could easily see a sudden, highly synchronized wave of studio cancellations, financial freezes, and executive probes that would completely dismantle the Harvey entertainment infrastructure in a matter of days. The internet is already anticipating the exact moment the corporate dominoes begin to fall, watching every single brand partnership for the slightest sign of a sudden, unannounced strategic retreat. What makes this entire situation completely paralyzing for the Hollywood elite is how beautifully it exposes the absolute uselessness of traditional public relations crisis tactics when dealing with raw, unedited digital evidence. For decades, the wealthy and powerful could easily bully media outlets into submission with expensive non-disclosure agreements, aggressive cease and desist letters, and high-priced legal intimidation tactics. But a dark web broker operating out of an encrypted server in an untraceable jurisdiction does not care about a Hollywood lawyer's reputation or a celebrity family's public legacy. They only care about liquid capital, and they understand perfectly that the fear of public exposure is an infinite ATM that they can swipe whenever they need a massive payout. By allegedly entering into this lawless marketplace to buy back Lori's 2019 footage, the Harvey family has inadvertently signaled to every rogue hacker on the internet that they are willing to pay top dollar to protect their brand, turning their entire family empire into a permanent, highly lucrative target for future digital hunting seasons. The psychological warfare being played out on the digital stage has completely shifted the power dynamics of the music industry, with Future sitting comfortably on his throne as the ultimate unbothered puppet master of public perception. Every single time the internet begins to calm down, a new rumor or a highly calculated whisper campaign trace right back to his immediate circle, ensuring that the spotlight remains fixed directly on the Harveys' financial panic. It is a masterclass in modern, cold-blooded celebrity warfare, proving that information is a far more dangerous weapon than any lyrical diss track could ever hope to be. Future doesn't have to say a single word on a microphone to keep his targets living in a state of absolute, daily paranoia. He just has to let the streets know that he has seen the digital receipts and knows exactly where the bodies are buried. The terrifying reality for Lori and her family is that as long as individuals like Future hold the ultimate social currency of knowing the truth, their carefully constructed public image will never truly be safe from sudden execution. This leaves the entire internet community sitting on the absolute edge of their seats, watching a live-streamed corporate demolition happen in real time while the mainstream media pretends everything is perfectly normal. The sheer disconnect between the polished, traditional family advice being sold on daytime television and the frantic millions of dollars subterranean bidding war happening in the shadows of the darknet is too massive for the public to ignore. People are no longer buying the clean, pristine narrative of the untouchable Hollywood IT girl. They are finally waking up to the reality that the glamorous lifestyle brand is a heavily fortified corporate illusion, designed to keep the darker realities of high society compliance from ever seeing the light of day. The digital clock is ticking, the federal archives are cracking open further by the hour, and the entire world is waiting to see if this alleged multi-million-dollar buyout will actually buy the Harvey family permanent safety, or if the digital floodgates are going to completely shatter, dragging every single person involved down into the absolute, unforgiving abyss of reality. And that is the absolute terrifying truth behind the closed doors of the Hollywood elite. But now I want to hear from you. Do you honestly think that Steve and Marjorie Harvey's multi-million-dollar dark web buyout is enough to permanently bury Lori's past? Or is it only a matter of time before these rogue digital brokers release a master copy and completely shatter the family empire? And what do you think the king of petty future is planning to do next with the ultimate digital receipts he is allegedly holding over their heads? Drop your absolute wildest theories and breakdowns in the comments section below, because the street chatter is moving fast, and I am reading every single one of your responses. If you want to stay completely ahead of the matrix and find out the raw, unedited truth behind these massive industry scandals before the mainstream media attempts to scrub it from the internet, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button right now, smash the subscribe button, and turn on all your post notifications so you never miss another breaking investigative deep dive into the dark underbelly of the entertainment business. Share this video with everyone you know to blow the lid off this corporate damage control campaign, and keep your eyes glued to this channel because the federal vaults are still leaking, the rumors are getting louder, and the real chaos is just getting started.